In the championship, and after stage 2, Jesus Puras had a slim lead from Panizzi. Puras's teammate Filip Bulgalski clipped the wall at the entrance to a tunnel, crunching the front and stalling for almost half a minute. But a charge lifted him from 28th to 8th. As hard as he tried, the Citroens were just a bit too fast for Gilles Panizzi on the final 3 stages. The fastest of the Peugeot drivers ended the day wondering what he needed to do to get back ahead of Puras. First, then second, and back to first again, Jesus Puras retook the lead on the last 3 stages. Day 2, and as Puras started the day, the sun came out, shining on the Spaniard, who was fastest on the opening stage. But on stage 8, he was leaving every braking point to the last millisecond, with disastrous consequences. The impact was immense, and Puras tried to keep the car going, but it was disabled. With less than 2 minutes until Panizzi was due onto the stage, Puras jumped out to warn the Frenchman that their car was stranded in the middle of the road.
Yeah, just on a very sharp right. I think when I put the gas, the rear oversteered too much, and then I hit a little wall which is there, and I think I've broken the rear wheel.
Citroën honours were now in Bulgalski's hands. His teeth gritted, he fought to catch Panizzi. But in his haste, he was too ragged, clipping the wall on one corner. The impact had damaged the steering. Half a minute the Frenchman lost, dropping him to 4th before the car finally ground to a halt. Just as in Catalonia, the beneficiary of Citroën's woes was Didier Auriol. By setting fastest time on stage 8, he leapt ahead of Citroën's last challenger, new boy Sébastien Loeb. Auriol was 2nd overall. Grunholm's Peugeot was far from perfect. It had taken a big hit on stage 7B. With an Italian fanfare, Renato Travaglia set 2nd fastest time on stage 11 in a privateer Peugeot. Petter Solberg's hopes of another good result went out of the window when he bent his right rear wheel on a curb. Out of the stage, he headed for service by crabbing down the Italian motorway. Panizzi picked up another fastest stage time on stage 12, as if to say, I'm still the master of this rally. But the prospect for day 3 was for rain.
Seconds is good, of course, but for the moment the meteo changing, and it's difficult to choose the tire because it's raining, but not a lot, and not on all the road.
Storm clouds gathering over San Remo. Panizzi's half-minute lead looked big enough, but he was not about to back off. Behind him, Loeb had already shown himself to be a star in the making. But for the young gun of rallying, Loeb's aim was not to catch Panizzi, but to hold off Auriol. Here, the 3rd of France's 3 rallying musketeers, 1994 champion Didier Auriol. But with his wheel locking up on the mulch of leaves and dew, Loeb was safe for now. Markus Grunholm had his fingers crossed that the French infighting would result in a few retirements. But in the end, it was his arms that he had crossed.
Oikein helppo suppuun. Saattaa vasen pitkä rouhea, kirraa vähän.
Grunholm calls out as his power steering fails. Carlos Sainz opted for hard tyres and they worked well on the dry tarmac. He was hopeful of being the only title challenger to score points here. With the rain closing in, the teams relied more than ever on their weather crews out in the field. Only now will we find out who was best prepared for the patchy rain. This was Loeb's first drive of the Zara in the wet, but he was as quick in the rain as in the shine. Carlos Sainz won stage 14, the first for Ford and only the second for Pirelli in Italy. It meant he moved to fourth. Just 2 more stages and Mäkinen would be out of his misery. His new car was having major teething trouble. But he didn't have to wait that long. The Finn banged a wheel, damaging it enough that his rally was over there and then. The rain on the road made the driving treacherous. In top gear, Marco Martin aquaplaned into a wall. Amazingly, he and Michael Park escaped unhurt. The rain kept falling for the start of stage 16, and on the form of stage 15, that meant Panizzi was right to be worried about Loeb. But Panizzi was wider-eyed than ever, the pace notes of his brother Hervé faster than ever. Right to the last corner, he was at full chat. And for the second year in a row, Panizzi had won in San Remo.
Gilles, your second win here in 2 years, you must be very happy.
Yes, very happy. This victory, it was very difficult, which all the drivers, Citroën and the last driver, the young driver, maybe the faster driver.
Loeb proved he's a champion of the future. So confirmation of the final result, Panizzi winning by 11 seconds from Loeb, and all French top 3, Sainz picking up points for 4th. With Sainz the only title contender to score, he's the only mover at the top of the table, usurping Richard Burns. Panizzi's win lifts him level with his team leader Marcus Grünholm. It has over 10,000 twists and turns, and it's the roughest, toughest test on tarmac. This is Corsica, venue for round 12. The thousands of bends taken at high speed mean there's no margin for error on these mountain passes. Based in Ajaccio, the cars will cover nearly 400 competitive kilometers on 16 stages. It's the shortest of the world rallies, but speed, not distance, counts. As championship leader, Colin McRae was first up to the launch pad. But just minutes into the rally, he slid wide, buckling a rear wheel. Then on stage 2, he punctured a tyre, leaving it in shreds. Tommy Mäkinen lost a second a kilometre on the opening stage. And it was double whammy for Ford on stage 2, where Sainz ran into a rock. The rock damaged the engine. End of rally. Picking up where he left off, leading in San Remo, Gilles Panizzi immediately took the lead in Corsica. But as in San Remo, Puras was also on the pace. Twice Philippe Bulgalski's been victorious here, and from the start Bulgalski looked like a potential winner. But 7 kilometers into the rally he lost grip, probably on cold tyres, and slammed into a wall. 2 kilometers further down the stage and turned turtle after clipping the wall was Toshi Arai's Subaru. Good news, all 3 Peugeots were still in the rally, This is Grönholm. And this, the 1994 champion Didier Auriol, whose place at Peugeot was now looking rocky. Mäkinen had finally got some good feedback from his Mitsubishi, but wasn't too hopeful of a major attack on the lead. But 18 kilometers into this stage, all that became academic. Mäkinen clipped the wall on the right, slammed into the cliff on the left and flipped upside down. With smoke pouring from the wreckage, fans rushed to help Risto Mäkinen, who was still trapped. But the stage was still live. In a matter of minutes, Richard Burns appeared, and the rescuers slowed him down. Back at service, the concern was immense as news filtered through. But before long, the rally rescue helicopter had dropped a paramedic to attend to Mäkinen and to Mäkinen. With the stage stopped and a Land Rover tied to the car, Risto was winched clear for the short trip to Ajaccio Hospital. Mäkinen will miss the rest of the year.
Both of us, we hurt our back, lower backs, both of us, and of course Risto's back was a little bit more painful, and we decided to take him straight to the hospital to make sure that everything is all right.
Day 2, and with a 10-second lead, Jesus Puras had a fine line to tread, holding off the Peugeots but keeping hold of the road. But Peugeot had told Panizzi not to bother to push, as part-timers Citroën wouldn't score manufacturers' points. Didier Auriol was now level pegging with Panizzi overall. The damp made these mountain roads as slippery as ice. All too aware of what happened to Tommi Mäkinen, Grönholm was trying to take it easy. But sometimes, even the world champion can't keep control. From the air, Grönholm makes it clear how this one got away from him. On the damp patches of stage 8, Puras had dropped back to within striking distance of Panizzi, but the Spaniard's lead looks safe. François Delacour had a problem with the mousse in his tyres, making the car shake violently. But Mr. Tenacity still broke through the pain barrier to 4th overall ahead of Solberg. Less than a day after Tommi Mäkinen's massive crash, French privateer Fabrice Morel flipped his Peugeot off stage 9 with frightening speed. Richard Burns hung on to 7th and has high hopes of crucial championship points. Colin McRae had looked capable of rocketing into the points, but a second spin in as many stages and then stalling the car brought forth bad language. McRae was soon out of the rally.
I think I have to be very concentrated tomorrow. I have to do my job, brake, accelerate in its place and change where it should be. And I think I want to do that instead of thinking of any victory.
Day 3 and the start of the first stage was slick after overnight rain. Puras lost 8 seconds in the first 12 kilometers, and for a minute his lead looked fragile. Panizzi was praying for rain. In the wet on day 2, he'd gone better than Puras. But Panizzi also had brake problems and had to tiptoe down the mountain. Nowhere is Peugeot's round gear shift behind the wheel more useful than here. Auriol never has to take his hands off the wheel except for a handbrake turn. Solberg had opted for soft tyres and was now 4th overall.
Dry, 180, short 6 right, 80, short 4 right, 30, turn ahead.
But Marco Martin lost time because he pushed too hard and wore out his tyres. By mid-morning, Burns inherited Delacour's 6th place. The rain helped the Englishman feel more at home.
50, fast right plus 40, easy left, braking there, decay right hook, tightens maybe line. 50.
At the start of stage 15, wet patches made the surface slippery, and that made Puras, the leader, ease off. Panizzi was like a dog tugging at a lead. He was eager to get at Puras, but only an act of God or major mistake would alter the balance now. So often he's been the leader of a rally and so often he's lost it. But at the stage finish, no wonder nerves sounded in Marty and Puras' voices. Puras had finally done it.
Many years, fighting for this, and I got it now. So I want to say thank you to all the people that helped me, and of course I have to share this victory with a lot of people. And thank you very much. Thank you.
So Puras' winning margin, 17.5 seconds from Panizzi. Burns took 4th. And that result means that Richard Burns is up to 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. The penultimate challenge of 2001 is Rally Australia. Australia's gravel roads are incredibly narrow. The trees are very close to the road, and the surface is covered with tiny ball-bearing-like gravel, making it very slippery and very treacherous. The rally is based in Perth, and like most gravel rallies, no one wants to be among the first cars on the road. This year, the drivers chose where they run. Championship leaders getting first pick. Rally Australia is as much about show as go, and every year it includes 3 visits, including the opening stage to the Langley Park Super Special. Marcus Grönholm won here last year, and after stage 5 he was leading. But Seitz knew he must charge like a bull to win here if his title chances were to continue to the season finale in Britain. But he broke a right rear suspension and risked the wrath of the Australian police by deciding to drive to service. No let up for Richard Burns at full tilt, literally, as he flipped onto 2 wheels. But it was worth it. Burns was fastest on stage 5 in 3rd overall and menacing for 1st. Mäkkinen's biggest handicap was not his standing co-driver or the new car, but his back. It was fractured in Corsica and every bump and jump hurt. His bravery earned him 7th overall. Sensible is not Colin McRae's motto, but it worked. He was up to 1st. For the 2nd stage in a row, at the end of the day, Didier Auriol was fastest. Another 2 top 3 finishes lifted the Frenchman onto the podium by the end of the day. Marcus Grönholm was back on top overall after briefly losing it and hung on to the lead until the rally returned to Perth. Just before the Super Special at Perth, the top drivers gathered to choose their start positions for day 2. But clerk of the course, Gary Connolly, decided that Colin McRae had arrived too late and threw the Scot to the back of the line. McRae didn't even bother hanging around. He knew he would be forced to run first on the road, the worst possible position. But Ford put Delacour first to help McRae just a bit.
Colin, can you explain to us what happened last night?
No, Gary Connolly, the clerk of the course, reckoned that we were late for the choice of seating and wouldn't allow me to choose my position in the road. So, which means we've got it okay. We were running 2nd behind Francois today.
And what do you think of that?
Well, I was there. I think the whole situation was a bit vague and, you know, it could have affected the outcome of the World Championship.
Gravel or no gravel, McRae had to try and make up for his atrocious start position. Trouble is, he tried a bit too hard and almost slid off. Delacour's job was one of a martyr. Just as he was helping McRae, disaster struck. Almost flat out, Delacour rammed a tree, injuring his navigator, Daniel Grataloop. Colin McRae was next on the scene.
On the radio.
Whilst Nicky Grist called for help, McRae rushed to help Grataloop, but the car was wedged under the tree it had broken in two. With the guidance of a local doctor, the drivers freed Grataloop, but he'd missed the rest of the season. Mackinnon was still struggling with his back, his pace notes and his car. A bad tyre choice cost Harry Rovanperä dearly on day one. Unfortunately, he made another bad call on day two. For now, McRae was holding on to fifth. Nothing Didier Auriol could do got him any closer to Richard Burns in second place. Burns is the man replacing Auriol at Peugeot. Burns' dreams of the lead were hampered by a gearbox glitch on stage 15. On stage 16, Grunholm took his fifth stage out of 5 and set a new stage record. The magic was back for the Flying Finn.
Marcus, that looks like hard work. Another incredible time.
Yeah, good time. Okay, even if I was a little bit bump sometimes, but then some places very fast also.
You must feel you can win this rally now.
I feel so, yes.
Day 3, the showdown at Sotico, the venue for all 4 of the final stages. Sainz survived his suspension trouble on day 1 to take 8th at the end. Mackinnon at maximum attack, even if it was only for 6th place. McRae set fastest stage time after fastest stage time, but 5th was the best he could hope for after a disastrous rally. But right to the end, McRae was the showman.